Every few years, the tech industry brings a new trend. First with mobile apps, then games, and then social media. These days, there is another trend going on for super apps. An app that will have news, social media, shopping, payments, games, everything in one app. The super app phenomena is not new, and there are already established super apps around the world, starting with China's WeChat and alipay, Singapore's Grab, Indonesia's GoTo, India's Paytm, Colombia's Rappi, and South Korea's Kakao. But if you see, all these apps are from one part of the world, South and Southeast Asia. But the Western world does not have any super apps. And after the growth of these apps in Asia, the Western world is trying hard to imitate the success story. For example, WeChat, which has 1.3 billion monthly active users and has 4.3 million mini programs, or you should say apps in it, which is way more than Apple's 1.6 million apps in its App Store and 3 million Android apps on Google Play Store. Everyone from Meta to Snapchat to Uber has tried building a super app, but they all have failed. Recently, Elon Musk expressed interest in transforming Twitter, which is now X, into a super app.
Over time, it would become, maybe half of the global financial system.
Well, that's a very bold claim, but what's that big deal with super apps? That there are many versions of it in one part of the world and there is none in the Western world. And why all these companies have failed to build it and now Elon Musk is trying? Let's figure out. After a busy day at work, you are now on your way back home. You get a message from your friend, let's meet and party tonight. Can you order food and I'll get drinks and invite other friends. You open another app and order food. If your wallet is not updated, you might have to open another app to do that and you order food. You go to the party, take pics and share them on social media apps. After the party is over, friends divide the bills in an app and then you pay each other through another app. In this whole process, you have used 5 to 6 apps. But if you are in China, you will use only one app, WeChat. And that's what makes this super app phenomena ridiculously successful. It is an app that has instant messaging, payment system, social media, news, delivery service, e-commerce, booking service, and a lot more in one place. You don't need different apps and add your account and payment details everywhere. Just think how convenient it is. If you change your address or if you have to update your bank account details, you don't need to update it everywhere. Do it in one app and you are done. In fact, super apps are beneficial to boost user engagement and provide better personalization and targeted advertising. The third-party apps can be built faster as it is easy to create mini programs within an app. You don't have to deal with the payment gateway or any regulations. The parent app is taking care of all that for you. So entry to the market is super easy and fast. And the company building the super app gets access to a hell lot of data to uncover consumer preferences and promote new services and products. And that's the reason for the name, super app. But now the question is that why in the Western world we don't have any super apps? It will be a great experience for consumers and small and medium scale companies and boost the startup ecosystem as well. But before that, let's first understand how and why super apps became so popular in Asia. And the first reason for that is no online payment system. When these apps were built in Asia, there was no widely available payment system in those countries. And credit and debit card transactions were also not a norm. In fact, in many Asian countries, people didn't even have bank accounts. So these super apps provided a digital wallet to all these people. For people who were using debit and credit cards, these apps gave them the freedom to not carry any physical cards all the time. And for merchants, digital payments from the super apps removed the transaction fees for them. For countries like India with universal payment systems like UPI, digital payments help the government to track transactions and also extend the reach of government programs and tax collection. By the way, if you want to know how UPI has changed India's economy, comment down below and I'll create a separate video on that topic. The second reason is not matured mobile infrastructure. Until the last decade, most Asian countries didn't have proper mobile infrastructure in place, and the mobile phones had a weak internet connection. Having multiple apps on a phone and working with them parallelly was not a good experience, and that's when these super apps came, where you can switch between programs as switching different parts of the same app. This brought a lot of convenience for people. This brings us to the third reason, which is no centralized system. For example, China is mostly the Android market, but without the control of Google. They don't have apps from Google or Apple embedded into their phones, like Google Pay or Apple Pay and other apps. Phone companies put apps of their choice and promote them. So there was a room for a centralized platform. And these Chinese super apps fill this gap by providing their own app store kind of model within a single app. And the fourth reason was limited regulations. When these apps were introduced in China, data tracking and privacy were not big concerns, and that's why there were no regulations from the government. Creating an everything super app can bring a lot of regulations today. The government will track any suspicious activity on these platforms, and data tracking and targeted advertising are also a big deal now, especially in the Western world. Apart from that, how the money in the digital wallet is used is also a big part of where the regulations come into the picture. If the money is invested anywhere else or kept in company funds, and if consumers are getting any interest on it, there are a lot of things to track now. Now, if we look at the US, it is a different market with different regulations and culture. Although people want convenience, they also want simplicity and security. And all of the reasons why super apps became successful in Asia are also not applicable here. We have online payment systems in place already. Venmo, Zelle, Apple Pay, Google Pay all exist. The US has great mobile phone infra in place, and also no need for a centralized platform, as the App Store and Play Store are already there. Plus, we have a lot of regulations when it comes to data tracking. In the US, market monopoly is also a big concern. We have seen the battles between the government and big tech companies. Also, people are not comfortable when it comes to giving so much power to a single company. That's why Snapchat failed when in 2020 they tried to copy WeChat's model to become a super app and launched Snapcash for mobile payments. They also launched a platform called Minis to open third-party apps, but they failed. Before that, Facebook also tried adding games and payments to Facebook Messenger. They also tried to add online shopping on Instagram and WhatsApp Business. But these attempts were also not very successful. Now the big question. Can X bring the success that no one else was able to replicate? Well, that's a very broad question. But X becoming a super app in the US is definitely not going to be easy. The app has to face resistance not only from the government, but also from the existing platforms that had tried becoming super apps earlier. Plus, integrating a financial platform into an app has to go through a lot of approvals. And even if you do it, growing that is another game plan. Snapchat with its 380 million active users and Facebook with its 3 billion active users have tried it and failed. Also, I would like to add here that when Chinese super apps Alipay and WeChat became successful, they were dominating the market with other apps. For example, Alipay's parent company Alibaba is the largest e-commerce giant in China. WeChat's parent company Tencent had already many successful apps like the instant messaging platform QQ, their online payment system Tenpay, the search engine Soso, Tencent Games and many other platforms. Now, if we see Twitter, it is already downhill with 330 million active users left on the platform and lost almost 50% of its advertising revenue since it became a private company last year. Plus, other platforms such as Meta's Thread and TikTok are trying to replicate Twitter. In this scenario, the only hope we have with X becoming a super app is Elon Musk himself. If he makes things turn around, convincing governments and financial institutions, bringing users, and integrating other major apps within X, who by the way are competitors now, then it will be revolutionary. As per Scott Galloway, an investor and professor of marketing at the New York University, the firm that establishes super app leadership in America will be the most valuable company in history and could result in the first $5 trillion company. So, with all these barriers, does that mean we will never have a super app in the US? Well, as we have seen already, it's hard to create an everything super app in the US, like in China and other Asian countries. But the US already has business-specific super apps. For example, Amazon is for shopping, Hulu for streaming, Instacart for delivery, Meta for social media, and Uber for transportation. And these platforms will keep on becoming bigger, adding more services to their existing apps. Still, it will be interesting to see how Elon Musk turns things around. Let us know what you think, if the US will ever have a super app like WeChat or Alipay. Also, if Elon Musk will be able to make X a super app in US, let us know in the comments below. And definitely subscribe to the channel. This is an extremely small channel and your support will help me with the YouTube algorithm. Thank you.